O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! You know, with so much happening in the world, a lot of people are depressed and frustrated, confused and upset. I mean, a lot of stuff is happening that's really bad. You know, girls being kidnapped in Nigeria, a host of orphans in Uganda, wars and rumors of wars. It makes a person wonder just, is there anything good happening? Yes, there is. There's a lot of good things happening around the world. You just got to take your time and look around and look for it. There are a lot of good people. Oh, sometimes we hear unemployment being 10, 11, 12%. Flip it over. That means people are employed at the rate of about 88 to 90%. So we got to learn to flip the script when you hear the news. Yes, those girls being kidnapped in Nigeria is horrible, but the world is looking. The world is becoming concerned about things happening in Africa. The world has made a lot of money from the resources in Africa. And now the descendants of slave masters and those who become rich in Africa, they want to do something. They want to give back. They want to rally their governments to help a country that has so many needs. But the job is not impossible. They just need some good advisors, good security, and land can be another Hawaii or Cuba or Brazil. It can be a great place to go and live, have a holiday, but they need some help. So I think what I'm going to do is start back singing. Oh yeah, I know I'm in my 70s and my voice is a little bit rough. That's okay. I still want to do whatever I can do to help out. For example, in Uganda, because there's so much civil war all around the region, it is pushing people into Uganda from all those regions where there's some civil war caused by a weird individual who is a religious cultish. He's not doing anything that is either Muslim or Christian or Hindu or whatever. He's not even doing things that are kind, Buddhist, whatever. This guy is really off the cuff. But he is causing young people to rape and kill and maim and saying it's the Lord's work. It's the Lord, all right. The Lord called the devil. See, just because someone says they are a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Buddhist or whatever, but they're doing some horrible things, they're not following their full teachings. They're following the wrong interpretation of their teaching. And this guy is causing havoc all around Uganda. Right now, there's over 800,000 people flooding into Uganda. They're refugees because they have to run for their lives to keep from being raped, killed, and maimed by this crazy man. But that's okay. If we can help to get these girls back from this other crazy in Nigeria, then maybe we can focus on Uganda and help them. It has been called the Pearl of Africa. First, Idi Amin just about destroyed it. He chased out the people with the money. He became a cruel dictator, sucked it dry, made probably millions, maybe even billions. But then he ran off and I guess he died, not sure, but he's another Hitler. We always have these Hitler types come along every now and then. And yet I still say, oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder, I consider all the world, the land that God has made. I consider the good things happening all over the world. Some things we never hear about, but they're there and they're happening. And I encourage you to sing. I've been singing a lot in the bathroom as I shower. I love to sing. And I think if singing will help people to smile and do better, who knows? I may start a singing career. I can play one instrument, a tambourine. Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to go and grab it out right now and start shaking it because it might upset you a little bit. But I think I will learn to play the acoustic guitar. Someone saw me one day in a health clinic, and I'm just, and they stopped me. Sir, they said, do you play a guitar? I went, no. But you want to? You know, I said, sure, I would love to. When I went back to that clinic, that nurse called me in. She says, I have a gift for you. I'm dying of cancer, but I want to give you something. I want you to learn to play this instrument. And she brought out this acoustic guitar. Wow. So now I got to find someone to help me with these hands that have learned to pick cotton, chop cotton, weed cotton, fan cotton, pull bowls, work in the fields, being a good migrant worker for about 18 years. Maybe it's just 12 years. I don't know. I lose track. But I want to find someone to help me use these hands, because if I can learn to play the acoustic guitar, I'm really thinking about adding to my repertoire as Trooper Ed. Maybe I'll be Troubadour Trooper Ed and go around and sing for my money to help people in Uganda, Nigeria, Liberia. Oh, I've got a friend in China. She's trying to build a school. Most people in her area don't even attend school. They work in the fields. They live, they get married, they have children, they die. Illiterates. But she was blessed. She was a very smart young lady, and her parents found resources, and she traveled and got a good education. Unlike many people with a good education, she went back to her own China, went back to her area, this little Providence full of poor people where children don't go to school. Her dream is to build a school for other people. Now, these children have to work every day. So her dream is for them to work in the rice fields during the day, come to her school at night, get a healthy meal, learn something, get a good night's rest, leave early in the morning, and get back to their farms, help their parents with rice or whatever. She needs help. She's not a beggar. I told her I'd be a spokesperson for her. I'm also a spokesperson for some friends of mine in Uganda. This one man has 55 children he and his wife are looking after, plus their own children. They don't beg. They just tell people, here's what we're trying to do. Here's why. We want to give these children an opportunity. We want them to have some skills so they can be self-supporting. There's See, in many other countries, I don't know, our country, the U.S., there is no welfare. If you don't have any food, tough. You don't have any money, too bad. You figure out something. So in this part of Uganda, there are a lot of children, a lot of orphans. Their parents have been killed, whatever. And this man and his wife, they're one of many. There are several people in Uganda have seen these children out there needing help. And they've just said, come and live with me. Very simple. Kids are hungry, need clothes, need education. And some people over there are just saying, I'll do whatever I can. And they may call me, email me, Facebook me, whatever, saying, I heard you help people. Can you help us? Well, my first stop is a place about 70 kilometers north of the capital of Kampala. I want to help this man and his wife who are helping in their village. 50, can you imagine trying to house, clothe, and feed 55 children, take care of your own family with almost nothing? And can you imagine what would happen if just 20 people in the world would just give $38 a month? Can you imagine what that would do for these children? He said if he only had 20 a month for each of those children, forget him and his wife not eating, having clothes or whatever, or needing bicycle or some kind of scooter there, he says if I could just get $20 for each of the 55 children, I could improve what they eat. I could help them get better clothing. I could help them get books, pens, pencils, paper, books, supplies to help them. Only $20 a month. Do you know some people in America throw that away? Well, it's not thrown away, but they eat that much in one day because a lot of people don't want to fix a hearty breakfast. So what they do on their way, I can't give the name of these places because they're not sponsoring me yet, but they'll stop somewhere and get a special cup of coffee. Spend $5, $7, $9, $12, and that they drink and they enjoy it. And then for lunch, they may, depending on the job, spend another $6, $7, $8, $10, $12, $15. If they drink one drink, another $3 or $4. If they live alone, some of them don't want to cook an evening meal. So what they'll do, on the way home, they may stop at the bar and spend $8, $9, $10. They may grab something on the way home, or they may stop at a nice restaurant or a fast food place, and they'll spend $7, $8, or $18. Eat very well. Now, can you imagine if some of those people just skipped that coffee one day a week, skip those extra drinks one day a week, skip a fast food or a restaurant meal one day a week? Can you imagine what their money could do to help children in Uganda? Can you imagine how the child would feel knowing that someone outside their country, maybe someone like you, outside their country, cared enough to send them some help? And these children, I was told, with the help of their caregivers, they will write you back. They will send you a letter to thank you. And in the years to come, you will write them, they will write you, and in time they grow up. And perhaps they go from a primary school to a high school, perhaps to a college. somewhere in their country, or Africa, or the UK, or Germany, or maybe even America. They get a good education. They meet people. They establish a network. They go back home with the education that you helped to provide for them. You did this. They go home. They take a job in a school or for their government. Or maybe learn a trade here, how to raise crops. They go back home, they get a job, they save money, they raise food, they market it, they sell it, they take care of themselves, some of their own neighbors, and they have an income. Maybe while they're here, they have a class on animal husbandry, and they learn how to raise animals to eat and to sell. They learn how to raise animals for milk to give them improved nutrition. And they become healthier. And they learn maybe how to use resources and connect with people in this country who have helped them to get an education. They learn how to drill a well. They get some resources and they get fresh water. So now there's no more diseases caused from going down to some pool of water polluted where animals defecate and urinate, along with people, I may add, and there could be dead people, dead animals upstream that come downstream. Hey, upstream, downstream. Makes me think of the oil industry. Can you imagine if the oil industries that are making money in Africa could do a little bit more and train people how to be resourceful? Africa has a lot of resources, a lot of minerals, lots of land, lots of timber. Can you imagine if just, forget the churches and the governments and all these groups and the missionaries, what if just the oil companies decided we're going to turn Africa into an oasis? Oh, they could do it. They're making billions. Can you imagine if they could train people how to acquire land, raise food, package food, have it sold in their own country, and sold worldwide? Can you imagine what that would do for that village? Can you imagine a village having clean, fresh water, growing their own crops, raising healthy animals, eating 3 good, healthy meals a day, having a health center somewhere close by so there's little or no disease, little or no HIV or AIDS, little or no malaria? Can you imagine villages cropping up all over Uganda, Nigeria, Liberia, all over Africa, where there's almost no disease, no illness, good education, people becoming self-supporting, no welfare, not having to always look to a country for a handout like people do in this country because they're sick or they can't work, whatever. But can you imagine someone in Uganda or somewhere in Africa getting resources, getting help to help themselves so they become self-sufficient because of you, because you help them, you sacrifice. Now, you're wondering, I can't send $38 a month. I'm on a fixed income. But what if 4 poor people in America, and they are richer than some of the poor people in Mexico or in Romania or in Afghanistan or in Iraq or Iran or anywhere in Africa, the poorest people in America are rich compared to some people in some other lands. So what if just 4 poor people who either work or get a welfare check or some kind of income. Maybe they just get disability or social security. What if just four, four, one, two, three, four? What if just four of these poor people contributed five, just $5 a month? Five. That means four people giving $5 once a month could sponsor one child in Uganda or Nigeria or Liberia or China or Mexico or Romania, other places where we have some contacts. What if four people who are poor in America could only spare $5 once a month, and the four of them together could adopt one orphan in Uganda or in some part of the world? And they could continue this. And before they died, they got somebody else to chip in $5, just $5. Then for the next 18 years, $5, $5, $5 from four people going to one child who grows up, gets a good education, and becomes self-sufficient, who may become a army general or may become a politician or the president of their country or serve in parliament of their country. And because of what these four people who gave $5 once a month for some years helped that child now becomes a grown person and becomes a contributing member of that society. And that society may have other orphans who you help to sponsor. And because of you, those orphans becomes leaders in their country, where they make sure it's a safe country where there's no corruption, no raping, no killing, because they understand you must have a strong military, because there are always people who are selfish and greedy who want to take over power with a gun. So sometimes it takes a gun and more to keep down those thugs and crazies from destroying your country. So what if the student you sponsored became the president of the country, and other students that you sponsored and your friends became members of parliament or the general in the army, the Air Force, and everything else, and they wiped out corruption, wiped out diseases, and turned their country into an oasis, so much so that investors from around the world will stop just taking money out of Africa and taking resources out of Africa, but they will start giving back into Africa as investors, as a partner, and growing that nation to be a powerful nation. Maybe one day all those 54 countries or so will become one country, maybe called the, I don't know, Organization of African States, or the United Federation of African States, or whatever they decide to call themselves. But what if all 54 countries came together because they're led by people that maybe you helped to sponsor, and they now see value for working together, having honesty, knowing that in the long run, honesty pays off, so that as president, they don't have to go out and buy 10 Rolls Royces or whatever for their 10 wives. Maybe they'll get their wives bicycles to keep them healthy, and maybe they'll just buy themselves one car and invest the money that they're making into their country, knowing that they will leave a legacy for their wives, their children, their grandchildren, and more. It could happen because you gave. It could happen because I would sing a song. Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! It could happen. You can help. Think about it. Pass the word along. One person who can adopt or sponsor one child in Uganda, Nigeria, China, Romania, the Philippines, Mexico, or the inner city of America. Right now, we have 200 plus large inner cities in this country. However, many people living there get some kind of help. They get either Social Security or welfare, or they collect cans and sell them, or they have friends and family to help them who have resources. But in Africa, in some parts of Africa, zero. There are zero resources. Zero resources. Zero resources. Zero resources. Zero! Except for the resources that you might send. Think about it. Get a hold of me if you want to help. I'll give you information. Well, let me see here. It's time for the old trooper to get a little rest, because 4 days a week I help hurting people get justice. Thankfully, I'm able to work with a family law firm who cares about people who cannot get justice. Almost every day we get phone calls. We got one today, somebody crying because of what someone did on the internet involving her name. But she has resources. But if that same person lived somewhere in some other country like Africa, or maybe Mexico, Romania, Afghanistan, I don't know. Without resources, it's kind of hard to make it. It's kind of hard to take the abuse. So think about that. In America, the poorest person could often be rich in some other country. So if you're poor, stop complaining. Think of how blessed you are. Okay, everything might not be going your way. That's life. Welcome to Life 101. But if you live in what's called a civilized country or an industrialized country, or in the first world, not in the third world, or the emerging countries, be thankful for what you do have. because you have the opportunity to learn some skills, get some more education, make some. In fact, if you live in America and in some countries, the government don't care if you hold 2, 3, or 4 jobs and almost get no sleep. They don't care if you have a full-time job working in corporate America and a part-time job cutting grass and owning a restaurant. All you gotta do is pay taxes. They don't care how much you make, just pay taxes. But see, in some countries, they don't have that luxury. There aren't the jobs available, especially in the villages. There are no jobs. You try to raise a little food, make some handcrafts, go sit in a little, like a shed, and hope that someone comes by, buy something, so you can buy something to eat for you and your children. That's what they face, sometimes 7 days a week. But we could help them. One thing we could do is build them a better shed, help them raise better crops, and help them to stay healthier. Will you help us? Oh, not just me. There are a lot of people like me. There are people like me before I was born. There are people like me in this country who helped Native American people. There are people like me now in America who help a lot of hurting poor people in this country. And there are some people who have a little extra. They also help people in Uganda, Liberia, Nigeria, Chad, Egypt, Afghanistan, Mexico. They help because they thank God, or they thank someone or themselves, that they have enough to share, and they care. Will you care? Will you share? Contact us. Let's work together.